welcome. I'm Ijoma Hunyaso. Tonight, anti-corruption campaign claims major scalp as Federal High Court in Lagos hands former Nemasa DG 5-year jail term for fraud. 51-year-old dock worker Lekan Shonde in court for allegedly killing his wife. Judge orders his remand for 30 days. President Buhari assures oil companies operating in the Niger Delta of adequate protection from vandals and other criminals. And wreckage of crashed Egypt Air flight found in the Mediterranean Sea. President Buhari condoles with his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
On business news tonight, CBN disburses fourth tranche of 230 billion naira stimulus to power generation and distribution companies.
And on sports news tonight, League Management Company expels Giwa FC from Nigeria Professional Football League for multiple rule violations.
5 years after he was first arraigned by the EFCC, a former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Remands, was today convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison by a federal high court sitting in Lagos over a 1.5 billion naira contract scam. Mr. Omasheye was first arraigned on January the 13th, 2011 on an 11-count charge before Justice Binta Murtala Nyako. Following Justice Nyako's transfer, he was re-arraigned before Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia on a 27-count charge bordering on bid rigging and contract splitting. The EFCC's prosecutor, Godwin Obla, in a proof of charges, had called 3 witnesses. The prosecution also tendered several documents as exhibits, while the defendant called 2 witnesses and tendered 1 document as exhibit. In a judgment delivered by Fiat, Justice Ofili Ajumogobia upheld the arguments of the EFCC and found Mr. Omasheye guilty of 24 out of the 27 counts brought against him. She, however, discharged and acquitted him of 3 out of the 27 counts, which bordered on bid rigging. Now, the man who allegedly beat his wife to death, Lekan Shonde, was today docked before a Lagos Chief Magistrate Court sitting in Ebutameta. He was brought before the court by the men of the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department of the Lagos State Police Command. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele reports.
2 weeks after the lifeless body of 37-year-old mother of 2, Ronke, was found, the Lagos State Police Command has finally produced her husband in court. 51-year-old Lekan Shonde, a dock worker in the Apapa area, is facing a 1-count charge of murder.
What is all this?
Handcuffed and looking rather confused, he was led into the courtroom of Chief Magistrate Oluwayemisi Adelaja. The police prosecutor, Inspector Chinalu Wadione, told the court that the defendant had beaten his wife, Ronke, to death in their residence. The crime was said to have occurred at about 2:30 p.m. on the 5th of May in the Egbeda Idimo area, a suburb of Lagos. The prosecutor also told the court that after committing the crime, the defendant absconded to an unknown area before he was apprehended by the police. The defendant was charged with contravening sections 221 of the criminal laws of Lagos State 2011, which on conviction attracts life imprisonment. When confronted with the charge, the defendant claimed he did not understand it. When the charge was read to him a second time, he told the court that he did not kill his wife. Because the magistrate court lacks the jurisdiction to try a murder case, Chief Magistrate Mrs. Oluyemisi Adelaja has ordered that he be remanded at the Ikoyi prisons for 30 days, pending an advice from the state's Director of Public Prosecutions for the case to be taken before the appropriate court, which is the High Court. She then adjourned till June 24 for mention. Shola Shoyele, Channels Television News.
Now, gunmen have killed the senior special assistant to the governor of Benue State on security matters, Mr. Denin Igbana. The gunmen are reported to have invaded his house around 2:30 a.m. and shot him dead. Governor Samuel Ortom has directed security operatives to fish out the perpetrators.
The agony of a wife whose husband's life was snuffed out in cold blood. The bullet-ridden vehicle bears the scars of the intensity of the attack. The gunmen apparently started shooting at him when he got home. They are reported to have trailed him into the field next to his house, where they shot him down.
Carrying this kind of walk.
One of Mr. Denen Igbana's colleagues, who was with him before his death, says he had spoken about suspicious movements around his house before the incident.
Recently, he complained to us that he had been suspecting some movements around his house in the night. He told us. And we asked him to beef up security around him. Even just yesterday, the governor approved that a fence should be built around his house, just yesterday. And yesterday we were in church service, he was with us. He came to the governor's house. I was the last person that saw him off late in the night. We were together, we chatted about security issues, and he left only for me to be called later in the night that he was in hospital. And we went there and we lost him.
Already, accusations are being made. Members of the community are accusing a former militant of being behind the killing.
Whoever.
Governor Samuel Ortom, however, says all those responsible will be brought to book.
And let me sound this warning. Anyone with weapon, unauthorized weapon, you are going to go in for it. I'm going to go after you. The security men will go after you. If they don't, I will go after them as governor of Benue State. Yes. I must see action within the next few days. There is no alternative than getting these boys. So I want us to continue to be law-abiding. We will go after them. Whoever is involved will have to pay for this.
The police at this time do not have much to say, only that the governor's directive will be carried out.
By the grace of God, we will be on our feet, nose round, and get those who are behind this act.
Governor Samuel Ortom goes on to visit the son of the late Igbana at the hospital. He is said to have fainted as a result of the killing. Once again, the governor promises that all will be done to apprehend the killers.
Militants in the Niger Delta have once again attacked a gas pipeline in the region operated by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The pipeline, which is blown up in the late hours of Thursday, is said to connect the Escravos oil terminal to Warri and supplies gas to different parts of the country. The attack is believed to have been carried out by a new group of agitators known as the Niger Delta Avengers, which has claimed responsibility for similar attacks on oil assets in the area. A spokesman for the Ijaw Youth Council told Reuters that the attack occurred near Warri in Delta State. Meanwhile, the president has given oil companies operating in the Niger Delta the assurance that the federal government is taking all necessary steps to protect strategic assets in the region from vandals and criminals. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was speaking at a meeting with the global director of Royal Dutch Shell Group, Mr. Andrew Brown, explained that he has directed the Chief of Naval Staff to reorganize and strengthen the military joint task force to deal effectively with the resurgence of militancy in the area. The president said, quote, "We have to be very serious with the situation in the Niger Delta because it threatens the national economy. I assure you that everything possible will be done to protect personnel and oil assets in the region," end of quote. The president also called on aggrieved persons in the Niger Delta to end their confrontational stance and work with the government on the amnesty program. In the meantime, the primate of the Anglican Church, the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, has condemned the ongoing attacks on the nation's oil pipelines by the Niger Delta Avengers. Reverend Oko, who was speaking at the 2016 Synod of the Church, called for a ceasefire by the agitators in the interest of national development. He also wants the federal government to collaborate with the host communities to secure oil pipelines.
The Synod hereby unequivocally condemns the activities of pipeline vandals. Such wicked activities should be condemned by all well-meaning Nigerians. We wish to call on all those involved in this atrocity against the state and people of Nigeria to desist no matter what may have been their reason. We further wish to call on the government to seek collaboration with the host communities in their efforts to secure the pipelines. We call on the Niger Delta militants to cease hostility against the government and in the interest of all to embrace dialogue. Nigeria is having too many battles to fight at the same time, and no nation can grow in such situation.
In part two, after the break, political leaders wade into the face-off between the federal government and labour unions over the fuel price hike, appeal to Nigerian Labour Congress to suspend the strike action. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.